Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to share with you tonight how I make my little crepe paper rosettes. This was a requested video. One of my subscribers, Jude, hi Jude, she asked how I make these. And now disclaimer, I cannot staple rosettes to save my life. I've tried and I get so frustrated because I get about 3/4 of the way round and then I just lose where I was. So I sew my rosettes. So these are just a few that I knocked together just a minute ago in order to have something for you to look at. And literally all you need to do these are a roll of crepe paper or streamer. This is streamer from the range, but actually in my little box I've also got crepe papers from Hobbycraft, and then these, as I say, are the range streamers, and they're like £1. They're not expensive at all. And I've made tons of these, and you can see I've still got loads here on the roll. A pair of scissors, a long needle and a decent thread. Now you can use a thin thread. I have been leaning towards this Gutermann thread here. It's actually quite thick. I have also used this, you'll find I'm a big fan of Gutermann threads. This one here is thinner, but it snapped a couple of times when I was using this. So I have been favouring this one because I already had it in my stash, and as you can see, it's fairly thick. You can kind of see on the reel there. It's quite a substantial thread. I bought this to sew up something. I think I needed some work trousers tied up for someone or something, and that's why I have it. So this is really, really simple, and I'm going to show you how I do these now. I'm just going to move those slightly to the top there. So you take your little bit of streamer, and then I kind of eyeball it. I normally cut sort of around 8 inches off, and I literally just snip it wherever I like, because you can cut it off if it's too long. You just don't want to make it too short. In order to make these quite thin rosettes, I fold this in half lengthways. So I just go along, and then you do need to try and be quite neat with this. And you'll find that particularly these streamers from the range, they curve slightly, but it doesn't matter. So I'm hoping I'm doing that quite straight. I can't really see because I can't lean in front of the camera. So that's now folded in half, and that will give me just a little bit more substantial thickness to my rosette. Then I'm going to take quite a long needle. My favourite one is this one. So it's quite a substantial needle, and I normally cut off about an arm length of thread. You're going to end up with more than you need, but it's better to have a little bit of wastage, I think. I double thread onto my needle, so I thread, oh, this is a very small hole, this needle. Let's get it through the eye. There you go. Oh, that was a terrible version. There you go. So I take the two ends. You can never quite get it right on camera, can you? But I normally do this, I wear glasses, so I have to normally keep this quite close to my face. So I just tie an overhand knot in the end of the thread. You want it a little bit away from the edge because you need something to pull on, but you don't need a huge tail, just a couple of inches, not even a couple of inches really, is fine. So then what you do is you start here where it's folded, and as you can see it's not quite neat along the bottom, so I can just take my scissors and just straighten that out like that. And it doesn't matter if you start up or start down. I always start up so I can see where I'm going, and I go a little way away from the edge and a little way up from the bottom as well. I just pull gently until I reach that knot. I don't pull tight because it's only crepe paper, it's going to go straight through. And then what you want to do is just do a running stitch along the folded side, and I normally go about 1/8 of an inch up this way, and then about 1/8 of an inch back up this way. If you're a confident sewer, then obviously you can just kind of go, oops, that's a bit short. And obviously just go up and down a few stitches. That one's a little bit wonky. Whoop. And just pull your thread through. Now it doesn't matter if it's gathering, that really doesn't matter. But you just want to keep following that running stitch, trying to keep your stitches roughly 1/8 of an inch up, 1/8 of an inch down, And you're going to do that all the way along to this other end here. Now, for the purpose of this video, I have already done that. So here's my running stitch all along the folded side of my rosette. You can see it's not exactly perfect, but I have tried to keep the stitches roughly the same. And now what I'm going to do is just pull on the thread and on the needle on this end, and do the same from the other end where I left that little tail. Just pull it like this. And what you want to do is just gather that crepe paper here. You might want to just fiddle with it so it looks nice. Now you can see I didn't go quite to the end of this one because it wasn't very neat. So what I'm going to do is take my scissors and just gently snip off the end. Now because I started coming up, I needed to finish going down so that these two sides, the two threads, are the same side of the rosette. So they're both now coming out on this side of the crepe paper, if that makes sense. So now what I'm going to do is take my two ends and tie one simple overhand knot and just gently pull until it has gathered in the centre. So you might have a tiny little hole, but you certainly are not going to have a big gap. Some of them do close almost all the way. And then I'm going to tie a double knot. So I'm going to go through the loop once, through the loop twice, and tie that off. I'm going to pull both threads to the same side, and I'm just going to snip, leaving a couple of mil of thread, because you don't need to go all the way to the bottom, because that's generally going to be the bottom of your rosette anyway. So that's how I make my rosettes. They're really, really simple, as you can see, to make. The only other thing that I would say is I have made some slightly thicker ones. The way I did that is I cut roughly 6 strands of this crepe paper. I lined it up, and then I just chopped up the middle using a pair of scissors, and then you get a bunch of them like this. You might just need a clip to hold them all together. Then when you sew through them all, you get a slightly thicker. You see how well you can see that? You've got a few more. I think this is 5 sheets of crepe paper, so it's just a fair bit thicker. Oh, is it going to focus? Not really, but you can kind of see that this one's obviously quite thin. This one here is much more substantial. So it depends whether you want a slightly thinner one or whether you want a nice thick chunky one. But they're really, really simple to make and a nice way to pass the time if you're watching telly. I hope this is helpful for some of you. If there's anything else you want to see, then please let me know. See you everyone. Bye bye.